So what should you expect as an owner in your monthly report? I'm Jim Ross. He's Matt VanHorn. And this is 3 Mile Domination, where we talk about anything and everything regarding the world of self-storage. All right, thanks for joining us for another episode here with 3 Mile Domination Quick Hit. And kind of going on from what we've been talking about so far when it comes to owners and looking for a third-party management company and what kind of items they need to be looking for to vet out the right management company for them. And what I think was a really important aspect of this is what kind of monthly reports to expect. Because ultimately that's really kind of your checks and balances to make sure your investment is progressing the way it should be and you're hitting the performance standards that you've set out. So, and that's a great communication tool between you and the manager company on a month-to-month basis. So I want to go into exactly what is expected in a monthly report for the owners.
Yeah, I think a good monthly report needs to be more than hey you, and here's some management reports we printed off the computer. I think it needs to be a little bit of it needs to be analysis. It does need to have the reports. Your financials need to be done every month. I like to do a rolling 12 on the P&L and just the regular year P&L. I like to do obviously the balance sheet. And then going into bank reconciliations, rent rolls, and really what your month-end report should be able to do. You should be able to take that month-end report to your banker or your lender or the investor or the primary person, whatever it is, and even for the owner like yourself, and bring it, and you should be able to look at it and say, this is all the information I need to at least give it to a broker to market the property if I had to, in general.
Yep.
All the general information you need to know to say that, to get an overall feel that my facility is in overall good health, or it's lagging, or it's not doing well at all. You need to know, you should be able to gauge that by looking at this report. It shouldn't be so complicated that you're trying to learn Mandarin or something. You should be able to interpret it. It should be very easy. It should not be put on a Wall Street level. It's a basic general overview of how it's doing with explanations of why things are happening the way they are.
Yeah. And again, I won't mention any names, but I've seen some monthly reports from other people, and you're looking at it, and it's basically just a spreadsheet of numbers, basically. And it gives you no barometer of comparison or what does this number even mean. It's just... And I'm in the industry, obviously. We've been in the industry for a long time, and sometimes I can't make heads or tails of some of these monthly reports. So let's kind of break it down as far as, the sections of that report and what should you be expecting. So first and foremost, obviously, it's going to have the software monthly reports. And sure, we all know when it comes to software and the reports, there is just a crap ton of reports, and a lot of times those reports
but you don't need all of
kind of overlap, and it's the same information. It's kind of redundant. So if you ever want to delve really deep into a certain aspect of a report, it's going to be out there. But when it comes to your monthly report, it's good to have just a good aerial view of making sure you're on the right track.
Yeah, your monthly report is only a 50,000-foot view.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can dig down as far as you want to who rented the unit, what time they rented, what day, did they give a special. I mean, you can go deep, but typically we're looking for the overall monthly view of the property. And then if there's problems that we're seeing from there, then we drill down.
Exactly. And for the most part, pretty much all the softwares have something, the terminology may be a little bit different, but something that's equates to a management summary report.
Yeah, I think most of them call it a management summary.
Yeah, and that's just, a good snapshot of that month.
Right.
Exactly, the activity that's been going on. So, great. There's also other reports that kind of do you're saying it's a rolling 12-month type thing. It's basically a summary of that summary, but over the course of a year.
Yes.
I love those kind of reports. Again, that way you can start seeing trends and seeing how things are going and the health of the facility.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about reports, and we'll just dig into it real quick, like the management summary is going to give you the general overall view of what happened, whether you do it that day, that week, that month. It's going to show you, move-ins, move-outs, your deposits, how that deposit was broken down by rent, discounts, late fees, whatever. It's also going to show you any write-offs or fees you've waived.
Sure.
In a sense, it's also going to show you again how many units you've rented, how many are total, what the potential rent is, what the actual rent is, and what your delinquencies are. I mean, in general, and I mean we just went through that real fast, but that in general is going to give you the overall financial footprint for the time period that you're looking.
Yep, exactly. And in any one of those that you're looking at that you want to delve in more detail, of course, there's going to be a report specifically on that number and that aspect that you can delve more into it. So,
and then the one you were talking about, kind of an overview report, which would take those management summaries and break them down by month over a certain period of time, by certain line items that you can look at, and you can see trends. You can even, I believe, put those into graphs as well, and take a look at it. I'll be honest, I usually take a lot of this information that's in like a management summary, and I put them in my own spreadsheets that tell me certain things and red flag certain things myself. But that's personal. Every owner and everybody's going to have their own difference. And then, moving on, we're probably going to look at like a unit mix report. It varies. I know Sitelink calls it occupancy statistics. I know that Web Self Storage calls it occupancy vacancy. All the softwares call it somewhere in that range.
Yep.
That will break down your occupancy by size code.
Yep.
Which is obviously important if you're looking at which ones are renting, which ones aren't. Do I want to attempt to discount some of these? That kind of stuff.
Yep, exactly. And so as far as management reports, that pretty much covers that. The next aspect that's really important in a month-end report for those owners is, of course, your financials.
Yeah.
Obviously. So you're talking your P&L reports. Yep. I mean, ultimately, that's 99% of what owners are really going to focus on right away is your P&Ls.
Sure.
Looking at the health of that facility. Of course, making sure that prior month is being reconciled. You see too many times. Sometimes it just goes on for a while and you get lazy and not reconciling those reports. That should be done every single month, making sure your checking account is being reconciled and to the penny. None of these adjustments or auto adjustments to making sure the numbers fit. No, it should be.
It should be
every single month is reconciled to the penny.
It's not hard because that's a good way to catch. When things aren't balancing, it's a good way to catch embezzlement.
Oh yeah,
it just really is, and whether it's someone the manager or something else, and typically you'll catch those on the reports. But in the in the P&L and stuff, it's good to know and dig into what that is. And then again, when we go back and we've had this, the previous conversations we had about hiring a management company, when we talk about financials, this is one of those questions you want to get into. Are you an accrual person or are you a cash person? Because both of those are not the same skill.
Yeah.
I know Jim and I, we do cash-based accounting because we are not accountants. We don't claim to be accountants. We know accountants. We have accountants, but we are not accountants.
Yep.
And, doing an accrual type system takes some adjustments. So you need to talk to your management company because not all management companies will do accrual.
Correct. Yep. And generally, cash-based is usually the default when it comes to a lot of these sites for self-storage. Cash in, cash out.
Depends on what your requirements are.
Exactly. Yep. And then
depends on what your financial, or maybe you're the investor and you want them accrual because you just finished your MBA program in Stanford and you think that's the way to do it. We all took accounting. I took accounting. I took my accounting class. One of those degrees behind my head is my bachelor's in finance. I took enough accounting, but I don't. But I'm not an accountant. And accrual accounting is a different. It's something you should be doing all the time if you're doing it. If you know how to make the adjustments, that's fine. But, again, none of us are accountants. If we wanted to be accountants, we would have been accountants.
Had to throw your degrees in my face, didn't you?
Yep, I did.
Look at my blank wall over behind me.
Put some stuff up on the wall.
Exactly.
But, and then your P&L should be broken down with line items that show the overall growth of the property itself. You should be able to look at your rental income and late fees under income, and
they should be itemized out. Not just I would say not just marketing. Here's our marketing heading. No, it's what's your internet cost, what's your pay-per-click cost, what's your ground marketing, what's your print marketing, for example. So you need to be able to really look at your P&Ls and understand where the money is going. And,
correct.
And that being said, where the money is going is you should also have copies. If there's a bill that's been paid, you should have a copy of that invoice in that monthly report. It shouldn't just be, here's a P&L, here's a cost for $250. Well, okay, but where's the invoice to that to prove that's where that money went? Prove's probably a harsh word, but just to make sure you're being accountable for where the money's going.
And I think that's a discussion you have to have with your management company on what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're paying, if you're a management company, or like say Jim and I are the management company, whatever it is, and we're paying the same $200 a month phone bill, and it's $200 a month every month, if you want that invoice, that's not a problem. We can provide it. If it's not that big a deal to you, you can't. But you don't. But when you're dealing also though with bigger purchases too, like for example, you're resurfacing blacktop or something and the invoice is $10,000, or you replace an HVAC unit, which is easily $3,000. Those aren't, for certain checks and balances, I don't think that's a bad idea to be digging into those.
Yep.
And you may also, as an owner, if it's HVAC or something like that, where you're spending $3,000, $5,000, you may even want to see multiple bids. Things like that.
Oh yeah, and again, it's in our experience. General rule of thumb is if it's anything over $500 for repair and maintenance, you get 3 bids.
Yeah.
That's just a good general rule.
Unless let me just put this in there. Unless it's something that is dire to the facility to run. So what I mean is,
if time of the essence, you gotta get it done.
Yeah.
now.
So like for example, if your gate goes down and you have a gate company that you use.
Oh, of course.
Typically, there's only so many gate companies in any one market. Like for example, when I managed in North Dakota, we had to get the guy from Montana to come out.
Yep.
There is nobody else.
Yep.
So those kind of things you need to be a little more cognizant of. That yes, you may spend $600 on a gate repair, but there's not a whole lot of choice in that.
But generally you have a track record.
Right.
That's
Correct.
Justified cost.
A general vendor that you use regularly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep. And then again, what I like to see in monthly reports, besides of course your financials and the reports that's coming from the software, is just a good overall consensus of it can be just typed up from that regional manager or whoever's overseeing that property, of just talking about what's been going on, for the whole course of the last month at that property. Any kind of incidents that may have happened, or what kind of new marketing is being done there.
Yep.
Just a good overall activity report, basically what's been going on at that site.
Yeah, maybe, when we talk about what, and obviously Jim and I will do another one of these on marketing. We're going to hit a bunch of topics. Talking about, are you getting what, is your money being spent in the right way? Is it delivering you customers? Is it delivering you leads? Are we closing those leads? But I wanted to roll back real quick when we were talking about financials. Yeah. I know we kind of ran through that, but yeah, you want a P&L. You want to, and I do it typically on a rolling 12, but you can do it for the year as well. You want a balance sheet, a current balance sheet, so you can see what categories and where money's moving from and to, and then kind of a general ledger of what was spent and who was written to who and for how much. And then typically the other thing I like to have, and Jim and I will talk about projecting and budgets in another podcast here, but something like maybe a budget to actual report to say okay, my management company said I'd make this. How close did we get, or did we exceed it?
Yep.
So those kind of things. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, yeah, a general thing about marketing, what are you doing? Where's it going? How's it being spread out? I don't know if sometimes you necessarily want to get into the individual companies that you're working with, but not always. It's just you need to have a general overall view, and that's all this is supposed to be. And then if you have questions, we can, anybody can drill down further and give you more information.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Again, it's just a good overall what's going on at that site at that time, that month period.
Right.
And we've kind of hit on it as well, but for marketing, one thing I've seen kind of lacking in a lot of other reports that I know me and you have always loved, including in our month-end reports, and that's a marketing report. Mm-hmm. As far as, the leads are coming in, where are those leads coming from? And then breaking that down to a simple ROI report. If you're putting this much money into a pay-per-click, what kind of leads did you get from that? Ultimately, how much did you rent from those? When it came to an apartment alliance, how many leads did you get from that aspect? And how many, what was your ROI on that?
Right.
Drive-bys, just keeping track of that. And that will come into play when it comes to, we'll talk about tracking numbers. We'll talk about making sure the manager is making sure they're finding out where those leads are ultimately coming from, and when they rent them, where those leads are coming from, what marketing source. So we'll get into that as well, as making sure you're tracking all that. But again, putting that in the report as well is extremely beneficial for not just the owner, especially for the manager company as well, and for that manager of that property, to making sure, where the leads are coming from.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of management companies, and again, these are things that you should be looking at.
Yeah.
A lot of management companies don't give you that type of marketing report with an ROI and where it's going and how many came from an area. Usually you get the computer printed marketing reports are not great. The ones that come out of the software, yeah, they're terrible in general. And when it comes to those kind of things, a little more detail does help. But again, you're looking at the 50,000-foot view in a monthly report. If you want more detail, all you have to do is request it.
Yep.
Most of the time, your management companies can throw that in the report for you. If it needs to be customized a little bit, it's not that much of a deal because we have the information already anyways. We just need to put it in there.
Yep, exactly. I had many owners that not all monthly reports were exactly the same. Each owner was a little bit different on what they were expecting and what they wanted to see. So again, the management company should be able to cater to what that owner is expecting on a month-to-month basis.
Right. And like I said, the way that Jim and I have always done it is we put them in PDF. I mean, there was a time when we used to have to print them out and send them and mail them. And,
I remember that.
The owner may not get their month end until the end of the month based on, by the time it's reconciled and it gets actually physically put together and put in the mailbox. It could take a couple weeks to get all that done. Now, we, put everything in the PDF and send a PDF to the owner. And then obviously if the owner needs a hard copy, then that's easy to put together and send.
Yep.
Technology has made life a lot easier now.
I still remember I had a couple owners that nothing gets in there great, but just very old school, didn't like computers, and they still wanted to print out, bound, hard copy, be able to hold it in their hands. Totally fine. So again, that's just part of being accommodating to what the owner is expecting. So
hey, even I have that. There's times where I'd rather read a book than use my iPad or my Kindle. Sometimes it's nice to sit, hold it, and put lines in it, and make comments. And for different people, and I mean, of course, that's changing now with the the new iPad and everything I have. That you can just highlight in there, you can make comments in there. But even though it's sometimes nice, you can see it in the back here. I have bookshelves, and I got a ton of books on there. I sometimes just like a hard copy. But for the most part, for what we're doing, a digital copy will work.
Yep, exactly. Good.
And then I think one of the things we want to hit, and also on reports. I know we kind of hit a few reports, but also the rent roll. You want a current rent roll in every one of these because if you do go to a broker, you do go to a finance company, they're going to want to see the most current rent roll, or at least the most current from the previous month.
Yep.
And that's a good starting point. So you always want to have that because there are software, SiteLink, I believe you can reprint them from the past. I believe web self-storage, you cannot. You actually have to print them on that day.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to be aware of what your software can and can't do. So if you need a report like that, you need to be up front and let the management company know so they can get that report prepared for you depending on the software you use.
Yep, correct. Exactly. So good. Well, let's wrap that one up, and we'll carry on with this series.
Sounds great.
All right. See you later.
Have a good week.
Go to 3miledomination.com/call and schedule your free 30-minute marketing tune-up call. I'll give you solid advice you can easily implement with or without us. Until next time.